Good evening, this is your gentleman B970 from London, and tonight I'll be doing a video in respects to the great Victor Bailey. Victor was a bass player very prominent in the 80s and 90s and could play anything from pop to funk to jazz and serious fusion, and regularly replaced the Great Jaco Pastorius in the band Weather Report on dates and gigs. What we're going to do in the history of playing the bass, my own personal diary, is look at Miles Davis and Milt Jackson, bearing in mind that Milt Jackson and Miles Davis had a huge influence on people like Wayne Shorter when Wayne Shorter was a young student. So we're going to look at Changes by Miles Davis. Changes by Miles Davis. The reason why we do the video is because Victor was very much part of the bass community on YouTube and other platforms. I remember sending a comment to Victor Bailey on the Countdown video that he does, a rendition of John Coltrane's Countdown, and I got a thumbs up and a reply. And Victor was kind of talking about the glorious 70s, of bass, because playing bass in the 70s was so fantastic. I was a bass player in the 1970s, and he was talking about how he was doing funky renditions of Star Trek and funky renditions of Stevie Wonder as demos, and eventually became Victor Bailey. In the Countdown video that Victor Bailey does, he kind of explains that it is possible to play at that level, and he indicates this by saying that he went to colleges like Berkeley, and Berkeley is one of the most important colleges in the world for jazz, fusion and things like that. So you can actually argue that at colleges like Berkeley, they sometimes get you into learning how to play phrases in one position, as I explained in the Lewis Johnson video, where nobody on the internet shows you how to play Teen Town with one finger on one fret. So you get this kind of feeling when you play bass in a certain way. So what we can do in this video in respects to someone like Victor Bailey is look at another exercise very similar to this in a different key, and then find out what kind of happens. So you get this kind of feeling when you play the bass in this area. If we change the key to another signature, we can start doing kind of like bebop kind of riffs. So this is really what people like Victor Bailey gave to me in a kind of influence kind of way when I watched the video. And so when we think in terms of Victor Bailey that way, and we look at kind of funky music like Chic, Bernard Edwards and Chic, Good Times, and we use this kind of principle on a bass line like Good Times, thinking in terms of someone like Victor Bailey, we get a slightly different approach to that bass line. So this is the kind of thing that can happen when you're bearing in mind people like Victor Bailey. So I'd like to thank Victor Bailey for sharing the information that he does, and Victor Bailey will always be in my mind as a bass player. When you think of Louis Johnson and Bootsy at one end, Marcus Miller in the middle, and then Victor Bailey kind of at the edge of, you know, outrageous, serious jazz. So thank you, Victor Bailey, for sharing your magic with the rest of the world. Thank you.